and welcome to our insights. Today, Megan Halligan will be walking us through our mid-year MIPS update.
Thanks, Katie. Go ahead and get started here. We do record all of our WebEx and all of our education material, as well as the recordings can be found online after each Insights presentation. And we do have everybody muted, especially around this lunchtime period. We occasionally will have some background noise from folks. So Katie will be monitoring the chat if you have any problems throughout the website and be available to help. Throughout the presentation and be able to help. All right, so just kind of going over the agenda today, we're going to be talking about kind of what's been happening, what's new in regards to the MIPS program, doing a quick recap of the current MIPS 2018 year 2, and taking a look at where we should be focusing going into the second half of this year. This is your first time with CareOptimize, which is a little something about us. We've been in the healthcare industry providing professional services for over 13 years. Where that's really of value is, we've seen the changes kind of alongside with you guys as we've moved from, PQRS and meaningful use and now MIPS. We do have 150 employees. Our main headquarters is based out of Miami, Florida, but we are spread all throughout the United States. And we serve over 200,000 doctors, mid-levels, and nurse practitioners. So one thing that happened just this past week is CMS released the MIPS performance feedback reports and final MIPS score for year 2017. And these reports include not only the final performance score for 2017 for both individual clinicians or advanced payment model entities. It also included the results of that being the 2019 MIPS adjustments. And just a reminder with this is kind of a confusing concept that tends to rear its head a lot. The 2017 performance does not affect the Medicare payments until 2019. So as we look at 2018, we are actually looking at 2 years ahead of time of where we're going to see those changes come into play. It also provides a detailed scoring and performance for each one of the categories and includes the ER utilization for the patients that were the Medicare attributed patients. So this is just a screenshot. If you go into the portal, what it looks like. There's quite a bit of information. So it is going to include that final scoring, taking into account all of the items with MIPS, not just the items that you actually report to them. It will include that payment adjustment, and this payment adjustment does take into account the exceptional performance bonuses if you did receive those. And then as we talked about just a moment ago, because we're looking at the 2017 reporting period, the adjustment is actually going to go into place starting January 1st of 2019. And you're going to have a similar breakdown for each one of the categories. So this is an example of a quality breakdown, including the performance year, how many measures, how many high priority measures, and then allowing you to actually get into the individual details of how the performance was for each of the reported measures. So this is kind of a high-level summary of the information you're going to find in the reports as it breaks down for each of the categories. Now, for some of you will remember, for 2017, cost is not included as part of the overall calculated score, but you will have access to information regarding your cost performance during that reporting year. And this is going to be the first time you're going to be able to see how the scores are being weighted and affected directly from CMS. So when reviewing those reports, I do just kind of want to bring it to your attention that participants can actually request a target review if you find or feel that there's any errors in those final reports. We'll provide a link at the end of the presentation if you have any questions in regards to specifics on that. But as you're going through that report, that is the way to actually address those directly with CMS. And these overall performances will be available, just like we saw with Meaningful Use, on Physician Compare starting in late 2018. That's going to be the 2017 scores, again, actually being made available online starting in 2018. And then as you're looking through these reports, measures that did not already have a benchmark score for them, one of the things CMS took the time to do was go ahead and find a benchmark score for the 2017 reporting year. For those measures, though, those do need to be recalculated based on 2018 eligible clinicians, as the definition has changed, so the clinician population is different. For those of you that have not accessed the report, this is actually where you can go ahead online and see those reports. You'll access it through the CMS Enterprise Identity website. Now, it's interesting to note that these reports are only available to clinicians and groups and authorized representatives. If you submitted through an EHR or through a registry, they do not have access to these final reports and scores. So your expected performance that was given from you based on one of these reporting sources, they will not be able to provide you with these final reports. You do actually need to go in and access them. So just a very quick reminder as we start now talking a little bit about 2018. For 2017 reporting, we were looking at an adjustment period in 2019. It did not include cost, and our performance weight was different in 2017 than what we are looking at 2018. So our quality, for example, is based off of 60%. And we had a potential adjustment of plus or minus 4%. So as I'm sure you all are well aware now that we are into beginning of July, for 2018, there was quite a few definitions that changed. First being who is actually defined as an eligible clinician. So the Part B actually increased to over 90,000 as well as greater than 200 beneficiaries as a requirement to be classified as an eligible clinician. Our categories were reweighted, so we do now have cost and quality is now 50%. And as opposed to looking at a 90-day period for all categories, we now need to report a full year for our quality and improvement activities. And we still can do a 90-day consecutive period for our formerly known as our ACI measures, now being referred to as our promoting interoperability. So that was changed, I believe, about 2 months ago, and just the title. Nothing else about this program has been modified, but you will start seeing a lot of the documentation and websites, now referring to formerly known as our ACI, now promoting operability, or PI. Our exceptional performance bonus is still set at 70 points. So anybody scoring over that would be eligible for that exceptional performance bonus. And our minimal submission has increased. So for 2017, it was 3 points, and now we need to submit at least 15 points to be eligible for a neutral, no adjustment in our 2020 reimbursements. We also need to submit 60% of our records versus 50% for the years previously. Now, it's worth noting there are some adjustments that have been made to our bonus points. A lot of the bonuses that we previously had have been pulled forward. We do have an additional bonus for our 2015 certified EHR if you're using those to report your promoting operability measures. Also to be aware of for 2018, they did promise us and did follow through with topped out measures. So there's actually there is 6 measures that they have topped out, which means the highest that you can actually score on points is no longer 10 points. It has now been brought down to 7 points. And this is just that list of those measures. So if previously you had been reporting on these for 2017 and received a full 10 points, if you received the same score for 2018, you will now only receive 7 points. As I just mentioned, that PI certification, so you do have the ability to submit data either on a 2014 certification or a 2015 certification. Those transition measures were brought forward for 2018 and still able to use those with your 2014 certified EHR. It is worth noting, though, if you choose to report on your 2015, those non-transition measures, you must submit only those measures. If you submit a single transition measure in with that, you will be not considered for the bonus, and your score will be based off of the 2014 transition measures. And they did increase both the potential positive and negative adjustment for 2018, so we're looking at a 5% now. Just a little reminder on that potential adjustment. It does increase each year, so groups that choose to not participate in the program that fall into those eligible clinicians, each year that penalty does increase. But on the positive side, also each year the potential adjustment max does increase as well. Something to think about as we are looking at who is actually qualifying for these thresholds and who we need to be consciously considering as part of impacted by this MIPS program. They do take into account 2 different determination periods and look at September to August and then vice versa for the current year. So we looked at 2015 and 2016, and both thresholds must be achieved in order to meet that low volume threshold. If one of the determination periods was not met and a clinician only met it during one of those, they will not be eligible or not be required in order to submit for MIPS. Alrighty. Some additional reminders and things for us to consider. The only clinicians that will receive adjustments are going to be our MIPS eligible clinicians. So the providers that meet the threshold, that meet the eligibility specialty, are the only ones that are actually going to receive a positive or negative adjustment because of MIPS. And this is regardless of whether an organization or a provider decided to submit as individual or group. And this can be a little bit confusing, as with group reporting, you can submit non-MIPS eligible clinicians, but those clinicians that are not MIPS eligible will not receive the payment adjustment. And these payment adjustments only apply to Part B reimbursement. The patient population for the measures were not Medicare specific, but the reimbursements as a result of the overall scores are only going to be pertaining to our Medicare Part B specifically. Group final scores will be applied to all of those MIPS eligible clinicians, once again, that bill under the tax ID for that reporting period. So a eligible clinician that bills under multiple tax IDs could potentially have multiple scores for that NPI-TIN combination. And eligible clinicians that receive a score in 2017, individual score in 2017, and bill under a new tax ID in 2019, CMS will actually carry forward those NPI's final scores. And in instances where multiple scores are submitted, CMS actually does go ahead and take the highest score submitted. So as we jump into 2018 more, we do have the additional category of improvement scoring that goes into account with our quality performance. Now that we have our 2017 performance final report, we're able to start doing some cross-comparing where we would like to be and where we are attempting to improve so we can earn those additional items. It is just worth noting, you absolutely have the ability to switch between group and individual reporting. CMS still does track those TINs and NPIs and will still calculate improvement scores even if you switch from individual to group or vice versa. Just to give you a quick overview of how this might come into play. If a group chooses 1 year to submit as a full group, and then the next they decide to submit only individual, those individual NPIs will be compared to the group score in the previous years to be able to determine our improvement score. In instances where a group does not have any prior score, an average of the prior reporting individuals in that group will be taken into account and used as their base for looking at whether the score actually improved or not. So now that we have a little bit more education on our performance of 2017, we know what 2018 looks like. We have the ability to start focusing our efforts even more than we were previously. So we want to make sure that if you have not already, go ahead and access the enterprise website and download those scores. This does give you the best possible base and determination of what your performance for 2018 needs to look like. The other thing when looking at 2018 is you are not held to the same submission approach that you had done in previous years. So you have the ability to consider what's the best submission method for your organization. And one of the things we encourage groups to take a look at with that is you not only have your individual scores broken down and individual performance, as well as your group performance, is different measures actually will have different benchmarks depending on the submission method chosen. So you could potentially affect your score by just simply choosing a different submission method and having potentially the exact same performance. If you have not done so already, you absolutely should be selecting the measures that you're going to be tracking. For quality, we are looking not just anymore at a 90-day period. You do need to actually report in a full year. So if you have not selected and are not currently tracking your measures for 2018, that is absolutely something that you need to go ahead and do. You, of course, have the ability to use the exact same measures you previously had been reporting on, but if you're not currently tracking your performance, it's something we encourage all groups to do. It is too easy as folks get comfortable to forget kind of those small details that really can affect your score. And right now is really the best time, if you have not been continuously tracking this, to get back on that. 6 months is a significant amount of time to be able to affect those scores. With our new promoting operability, it even takes me a minute to get used to the new title for it. We are looking at a 90-day period. If you are looking to get that bonus by using the 2015 certification, we do encourage groups to make that decision as far ahead of time as possible. And the reason for that is the transition measures are not a one-to-one, of course, with the non-transition regular PI. And there's additional requirements for the 2015 certification, which is why they provide that bonus. So if you are looking to upgrade, get that bonus, we do encourage groups to start tracking prior to the 90-day period. It is a lot harder to improve those scores when you're in the last 3 months of the year in order to try to get those to the best pace possible. Now, if you are on a 2015 certified EHR, you still have the ability to use those transition and submit those transition measures, however. But just a reminder, if you're going for that 2015 cert bonus, you need to submit all of the non-transition regular PI measures. If you submit one transition measure, you will be calculated based off the transition scoring and not eligible for that certification bonus. And then we've talked about this a few times, but continuously tracking your performance and comparing that back to previous years' performance in order to put yourself in the best place possible for that improvement bonus. And then lastly, we're seeing a lot of groups get very comfortable with ACI. The CI did it as well, with the performing interoperability measures. We knew these as MIPS, we knew these as meaningful use. Those base measures have to be performed every single year, and that includes stuff like our security risk assessments. So focusing at the last part of these years, remembering to come back and make sure we're still in compliance with each one of those, and each of them have been met for the current reporting year. So lastly, there's all sorts of situations that come up. You do have the ability to still do minimal reporting and not receive any penalty. For 2018, we're looking at 15 points is the minimum for submission and not receive a penalty. and this can be from a combination of categories. And so one thing we like to encourage groups to take a look at is if you're a small practice, large practice, those IA measures for each one of those, you can get up to 40 points for that category that goes towards that score. So taking a look at what's the easiest for your organization, but again, it can be a combination between, you know, your PI and quality or any one of the actual overall categories. So I appreciate your time today. There are special instances that we did not go over specifically around alternative payment models and groups that are working towards a shared savings program that we are going to be covering specifically in an additional WebEx. If you do have any questions, though, please feel free to email them over to CareOptimize, and we will go ahead and address it. We normally do like to open up the floor. Unfortunately, on our last WebEx, we had a lot of background noise, so by either sending those over through the chat, we will go ahead and address those, or you can always feel free to email us. Again, all these presentations are available on our website, usually a day or so after the presentations are made, as well as the links to all the reference sites. Oh, we actually got a question. Yes, with the transition measures, the question was what those are in reference to. So with the promoting interoperability, they gave the option of being able to use either a 2014 certified EHR or a 2015 certified EHR. And with the 2014 certified EHR, there's functionalities that's obviously not required in the 2015 certified EHRs. And so because of that, the measures are actually slightly different. If you access the CMS website, both sets of those measures are online, and I believe they've updated it to be listed specifically under 2014 and 2015 was the newest change they've actually listed under there. Previously, I had been referring to transition measures for your 2014 certified EHRs. Oh, yeah. The question just is which site is it that we go to access the MIPS scores? Let me go ahead back a couple slides and pull that up. Again, all this will be available online. Oh, here we go. And actually, if you go to the QPP website, it's through their enterprise identity portal. All right, thank you all so much. We do have a final list of kind of the most helpful websites out there, including a lot of links to easily find information from the CMS website. They did break down their website a little bit more for their documents library into 2017 and 2018, keeping those historical pieces of information. So links to helpful documents are available at the end of the WebEx, or I'm sorry, at the end of the PowerPoint as well. Well, thank you, everybody, and you have a great day.